The following is a presentation of the High Spot Podcast. Making their way to the ring, talking about the world of professional wrestling, the team of Jeff Martin and the Trendsetter, Brian Perga, the Jersey Wrecking Crew.
What is up, guys? You're listening to the High Spot Podcast, and we are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I'm Justin Martin alongside the Trendsetter, my tag team partner. We got Justin Barrasso on the show today, so we got a great show. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is a top one Trendsetter. What is going on, man? How are you doing?
Not good.
Not good. You told me to bring it.
Exactly. No, Jeff, it seems like every day we're on the daily grind. It hurts. Don't even know what day it is today, Jeff. But you know what? I wouldn't stop this for anything in the world, because we're talking about the one thing. Well, we're passionate about a lot of things, but one thing we love talking about over and over again, I think to nauseum, is pro wrestling. I can't wait to have Justin Barrasso join us and be talking with the Jersey Wrecking Crew and talking with the crew listening to this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, guys. Follow us on all our social media platforms out there. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spreaker, wherever podcasts are available, and also check us out on YouTube on High Spot Podcast. Just type that in the browser. You'll see all the episodes we've done, from conventions to our interviews to what we've done for, all the promotions out there, and there's also what I've done for Adventures to the Trends, where I cover the world of the adult film industry. So, Jeff, I mean, it seems without fail, now that we're on the road to WrestleMania, there just seems to be nothing is off the table. There's just so much stuff to go on right now, stuff that happens backstage, stuff that's going on the internet, what people are saying here, what people's theories are here, and now we kind of have an idea of what the main event, or we know what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be, Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. Now the situation is the build-up towards that event, which what the road is we're on right now.
Yeah, and kudos to the wrestling fans in Salt Lake City, Utah, for actually filling the arena. A lot of people said that it was going to be the lowest attendance in a long time for WWE. 18 inches of snow, from what I was told, and the fans braved it. Here I thought that they were also going to be all put on harder camera, but no, the arena was filled. So this is why you wrestling fans are the best. You filled that arena. You wanted to go see wrestling. You wanted to see the WWE in action. So, just kudos to you guys. Wrestling fans are the best.
Yeah, it's funny, right? People are like, oh, we're the highest. What are the die-hardcore fans out there in sports, right? People talk about football, baseball. People talk about international soccer and soccer in Europe, right? There is no dedicated fan base more, and I'll fight anybody on this, than wrestling fans. They will go through the rain, sleet, and in this case snow, to watch an event, and they prove that.
Yep, and man, we have new Super Bowl champions. Congratulations to Andy Reid and the Chiefs.
What did you think about that game, though? It was kind of, it had the makings of being a very dull game in the first half, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Pat Mahomes is not at his best. I was like, man, out of the worst times to throw in a clunker, but he became great, man, because late in the third quarter into the fourth quarter, it was his. He was like, you know what, I'm taking this game back, and some questionable play calling by the 49ers on their end, and boom, you got 31-20 to the Chiefs, and they'll be getting their WWE title belts in the mail from Triple H pretty soon, so congrats on that. The XFL Trendsetter starts this weekend. The XFL! I had to say it like that. Mm-hmm. You excited? Do you need more football in your life?
I'm excited the way they're going to present it, because obviously back to the time when we saw the first XFL, the presentation was very raw. It really seemed really last-minute type of thing, and then you had the classic scene where Vince McMahon walks into the middle of the field in front of that XFL. I doubt he will, nor should he ever do that. I don't think you need that scenario because, again, the major thing, Jeff, is the fact that they want to separate WWE from the XFL. They don't want superstars from the WWE on XFL TV and vice versa. I think those should just be two separate entities. Every once in a while, if you want to see somebody in the box, in the luxury boxes, sure, no problem, but I don't think they should be part of the product, and I think that's probably, hopefully at least, the one thing they've learned from this. I really feel they've taken their time in planning this. It isn't something that Vince all of a sudden said, hey, let's do it again. I'm sure he's planning on talking to executives, talking to people who are more knowledgeable on this than he is. When it comes to wrestling, you could say, hey, Vince is a genius, right? If you still think that way. When it comes to football, he's putting people in the right spots and positions for this to continue. And I think long-term wise, what I'm more interested in anything is how the season plays itself out. If it completes the season, I think it will. And I think it's a 3-year plan right now where I think that we will see 3 seasons of this. And it just can be kind of interesting to see the fact that, most people always complain when the NFL is over and Super Bowl's done. Oh, people are excited about baseball. People are now focusing on NBA and other sports. But there seems to be a lull before you get to the NCAA tournament, which happens in March. And then you start getting into spring training. But there is that lull period where people are just like, they need something else. And I'm kind of interested to see if the XFL can fill that void before the spring starts.
And you had other leagues start up like the AAF, and that of course there wasn't funded properly, and there were a lot of mistakes made there. But I think the NFL is also going to be looking at this league too, just because they want to see the success of the league. And whether there'll be one day, like a merger where this could be their spring football league. And you talk about players that need development. You can talk about teams in the NFL that draft players to put them in XFL teams. Now this is down the road now.
We're thinking way down the road.
But I'm pretty sure that the NFL's kind of wants to have a curiosity to see what's going on with the XFL. So
they kind of had that with NFL Europe, and then that was I don't think financially beneficial to them to do that. But yeah, you're right. Who knows down the road where it could be?
Yeah, and listen, the NFL is never going to have 18 games. The Players Association will never vote on that for it.
We never thought we were going to see Thursday night games either, and that's not been a consistent thing. Usually it was Thursday night games towards the tail end of the season. Now it's week 1, we have Thursday night games. So, in my opinion, I hate to use the analogy of wrestling, but, never say never.
Never say never, but this is pretty as close to where I don't think it's ever going to happen, because exactly either you're going to have to give them more money, or just the tolls on their body, these guys are never going to agree to it. But again, though, it'd be interesting to see if somehow maybe one day down the road we'll have a spring football league. The XFL might do that and merge with the NFL. But right now they want to be their own entity. But I'm curious to see football, so I'll give it a chance. I'm not going to be closed-minded about it and say because it's attached to Vince McMahon that I'm not going to give it another look. So,
do you have any expectations for the XFL? Do you feel that they've learned at least from their mistakes from the first league that one season?
Yeah, it's more well run, man. Yeah. I think like you said, there's more timing to it, and you got Oliver Luck as the commissioner, and I think you have more organization. Now, they said that they were going to lose money with it, about $300 million Vince is supposed to lose with this, but his idea, his look into the future is that once those TV deals run out, that they'll want this product again, and that's how you recoup your money with those TV deals. So we'll see what happens. But again, though, it's going to be something interesting to see. There's nothing on Sunday. So I know this time where the wife goes, hey, listen, now we're back to, us now, right? And you have to give that. The wife goes, yeah, listen, you've had your 16 weeks of football plus the playoffs. Okay, so now no more football. So that's going to be tough to do. But we'll see what happens if there's going to be curiosity towards the XFL, see what the ratings are after the games. Trendsetter, we're on the road to WrestleMania. We're on all social media. Follow us on Twitter at Highspot Podcast and Instagram at Highspot Podcast. Go to the website, highspotpodcast.com. And also we're on the Shining Wizards Network as well as bodyslam.net. You can check out our articles there. I had fun doing the Royal Rumble one, man. Did the predictions. I missed the 2 Battle Royals, but nobody's perfect there. You try to play Booker when you make those predictions. But, we talked about Drew McIntyre, the XFL. How about the WWE, getting rid of 2 co-presidents just like that, and then the stock dropping like crazy. So I remember last summer I was telling you, chances were like $80 a share. And man, we could have bought it when it was at 20 and 50. Well, joking. Stocks are going to have ups and downs. Right? It's going to be a roller coaster. But wow, this just came out of the blue. We'll talk to Justin Barrasso about this. We'll get more in depth on WWE's decision. But just when you thought about it, man, it was just like, damn, like what happened there?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I got from it were people talking about the mere fact that Vince made this move. And like I said, we'll talk to Justin about it as well in a few minutes. But to me, it kind of showed, I wouldn't say the desperation, but more the amount of pressure right now that Vince must be feeling right now. I mean, literally, he's in his 70s. I think he's like 71, 72 right now. And it just, the mythology of Vince McMahon, Jeff, of the mere fact that he is this machine, he never sleeps. He's always got his hand in something. He's always doing something. He's up to 4 in the morning, working out and doing stuff like that, even in his 70s. But I like to think right now that there has to reach a certain point right now where, because you're a publicly owned company now, you're no longer private, and you have to answer so many people. And hey, I've never been in business for myself, Jeff. I've never owned a business, so I wouldn't know. I'm just going from how I've seen examples of people who've been entrepreneurs like Vince's, and now he's a publicly owned company. There's so many people to answer to, and so many people want to be satisfied, that sometimes you have to, pull the plug or make some drastic changes. But it just makes me kind of just scratch my head sometimes, because you and I, we talk about the product a lot, and we talk about how we feel there are a lot of things that are missing from it, a lot of things that, I'll give credit where credit is due. The Royal Rumble is a pleasant surprise. I was expecting it to be a clunker. It wasn't. It was pretty good, actually. It was pretty fun to watch it, and I haven't said that in the longest time. So you have those moments, especially now as we're approaching WrestleMania. The build-up gets more exciting. But I'm starting to think, when you start firing writers, you start firing like Eric Bischoff, and you bring this person in, you take that person, now you're firing presidents or CEOs. It's like, my goodness, it's like maybe the problem isn't them. Maybe you should start kind of looking in the mirror, and I doubt Vince will do this, but you start looking in the mirror like, what am I not doing correctly now? It is you don't try to recreate the wheel, but what I've been doing for so long has always worked. But sometimes there needs to be a change. I'm not saying fire yourself or stuff like that. We've gone over it with sports teams. They're like the general managers that go, the owners, or the Wilpons for the Mets. It's not going to work, and they have to take themselves out of the situation. Some won't, but in this scenario with Vince McMahon, it's like you have to be able to adapt. And it seems like from the vantage point of the outside looking in, Vince is having a hard time doing that because he feels the formula is still the same. Something's wrong here, and something needs to be looked at. So it just shows case to me there's a lot of pressure going on now, especially with the Fox deal. A lot of pressure going on. And this isn't before in the past where, we're in a 2-point-something rate. No, you need to show results now, and I think he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, could it be the SmackDown on Fox deal? Could it be other factors between George Barrios and Michelle Wilson and Vince McMahon that led to the firings of those two co-presidents of WWE? Maybe Justin Barrasso can shed some light, and he'll have updates on his upcoming articles. But that's what we opened up with Justin talking about. Just that thing. The firings of Michelle Wilson and George Barrios came out of left field, and WWE stock dipped a lot. And you saw the memes of the Randy Orton with the RKO on WWE stock. So they took a little bit of a hit here. Can they recover? We were talking about that and so much more with Justin Barrasso of SI.com, and he joins us right now on High Spot Podcast. Man, Trendsetter, it's just a crazy time in WWE. It's always hectic as we are on the road to WrestleMania, and man, to put a cap on this week, talk about the firings of George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, co-presidents of WWE, kind of stunning when you think about it. And the WWE stock prices were dropping, and it's just something that you didn't see coming, right, Justin?
Yeah, it's a reminder that it's a cold business, and that Vince McMahon's the one running it too. So obviously there's a lot of different things at stake when you become a public entity like WWE is, but that's still a surprise. I mean, George Barrios has been there for a long time, over 10 years, Michelle Wilson, so definitely a big shock. Clearly, there's so much at play with, the WWE stock, the XFL, which starts right around this weekend. There's just so much at stake for Vince. I thought it was a big move, a bold move, and no, I don't think any of it's coming.
You talk about the XFL and a lot of people saying how it kind of was a breaking point in that relationship. The XFL starts this weekend, actually. So, you go from the big game, the Super Bowl, to the XFL. Do you think that there was an issue with the XFL regarding the firing of the two co-presidents?
I think everything's a little bit more connected than it seems. I mean, I know Vince had said that he wasn't going to be overly involved in the XFL, but I think anyone who's followed the career of Vince McMahon, I'm not quite sure the last time he wasn't overly involved in something. So I think everything does connect. And we'll see. I mean, that's a lot of money at stake too. I don't know. I know that our nation loves football, and I'm part of it too. I love high school football, college football, the pros. Can the XFL succeed? I mean, I just think we're so accustomed and attuned to kind of blocking out football after the Super Bowl. I don't know if they can break that.
You know, it's surprising to me, Justin. It seems to fall into the same category nowadays where, we have mentioned this several times, even when we've had you on the show, too, of how great it is right now to be a wrestling fan because you have so much there to look at, so much stuff to digest in terms of your favorite quality of content. If you want to go somewhere else and check something different, if you don't like what you're currently seeing, you can do that. It seems like the same's going on now with football, like you mentioned before. Do you feel now that the XFL is that alternative, or do you feel there could be this oversaturation? Like you said, most people after the Super Bowl are kind of they're already worrying about pitchers and catchers reporting for spring training now and worry about NBA basketball. Can the XFL, you think, fit in that category where it can sustain itself, where people can buy into it until the spring starts?
Good question. We're only 8 days away from pitchers and catchers, but
Right, of course, you know that,
yes,
Justin.
and since
right?
we're on the East Coast, this weather, oh my God, I just can't wait for that spring, man. I can't wait.
absolutely. Though spring, and for anyone who's not in the East Coast who's listening, spring doesn't really happen until about late May. But no, I agree. It'll be nice. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to judge. I would never judge something till we see it and get a sense of it, a feel of it, and we won't know everything within by Sunday for sure. Things are going to evolve. But I almost feel like they had the right idea the last time. It was just too rushed. I don't necessarily know. I mean, obviously people want to see compelling football, but I almost think they're better off like what those old. It was the MTV basketball games, and like you'd get basketball players, and it was like a rock and shock or rock and jock. And it was like a 40-point shot. I'm not sure people want to watch like great football. They want to watch a show, especially when Vince McMahon's involved. I'll be curious if are they trying to put on good football? Are they trying to put on a spectacle? I think that was the problem last time. They couldn't figure it out. And by the time they maybe had an idea in mind, television had backed out, and that was the end of it. So I don't know. I just think I'd rather see it. If I want to watch great football, I know where to find it. If I want to watch a show, I think maybe the XFL has some legs to it, some teeth to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm really interested to see what happens this week. Saturday's a great day. It's football, the XFL. We have UFC 247. Just a fun weekend, so I can't wait. Like you said, too, there's always something to look forward to, especially as a wrestling fan. There's so many different promotions, and if you don't like AEW and you don't like the way they present their title, or WWE does, maybe you watch Nick Aldis in the NWA. There's so much going on. I think that's a great point.
What I'm interested about the XFL is that what rules could maybe cross over into the NFL. There was a lot of kind of like technology was kind of like taken by the NFL with the overhead cameras and all those things. So it's good. That's to me what is going to be the most interesting factor. Like, what exactly can the NFL take away from the XFL that they might use in their game? But moving on to wrestling, right? Drew McIntyre, Royal Rumble. To me, what was great is watching the fans complain about Brock Lesnar, and then all of a sudden, there's a method to creative madness, and having Drew be the guy that eliminates Brock Lesnar. So now we go to WrestleMania. It's official. We're going to get Brock and Drew McIntyre. The push for Drew kind of started, a couple weeks now. And just your thoughts on Drew McIntyre being that guy.
I loved it. I loved the way the Rumble was presented. And if there were any doubts about Drew McIntyre, getting a pop in that moment or a cheer in that moment or the crowd behind him, they were so smart because the crowd had already seen enough of Roman. I liked that match. Probably went a little bit too long. That opened the card, the main show, the Roman Baron Corbin match. But they did a great job with the stipulation of seeing the whole ballpark in Houston of Minuteman, and the spear on the dugout at the end was cool. But I think we had a feel of Roman, by and large. So him back in the Rumble, the crowd didn't want him to win. I think they read the crowd, the live crowd, correctly. And then on top of that, if you're still not sure, Roman eliminates Edge, right?
Yeah.
So it's perfect. Of course you're going to be behind Drew McIntyre. He eliminated Brock. They had the nice little story piece to it with Ricochet with the low blow, and now that's leading to the Saudi Arabia show, which is hard to get behind the Saudi shows, but I like that match. I'm really excited to see Ricochet in that position. But I don't know. It's interesting because it's never really been done before. And it was Mike Rome on the ring announcing last week. He said this will be the main event at WrestleMania. And that's deceiving because Mania could have 5 main events, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean it's going last. But I'll be really curious how they position this. Like we saw last year, it's already started. But the Seth build, and I know that opened the show last year, the Seth Rollins-Brock Lesnar match was Seth kept saying, Brock Brock's not here, I am. So I kind of don't want to see that as much this year. We just saw it. I think we hear that with everyone who wrestles Brock. But you've got an interesting opportunity, or like a tailor-made opportunity, for the first time, I don't know, since Davey Boy Smith headlined Wembley, to really highlight a foreign superstar. In WWE, Vince McMahon doesn't have really a history of that as a babyface, particularly at WrestleMania. Bret Hart a little bit, but I don't know. And Bret was always announced from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But the babyface, the conquering babyface as a foreigner, it just hasn't been overly done as a babyface. I think Drew could really be. You could make some money off that, and I think that'd be a special role. I don't know. I got to write about this, but I still see the way this going down is. I think Drew McIntyre is great. I think Brock Lesnar is great. But I think the crowd's starting to get behind Brock. I thought it was interesting. Jimmy Training for Sports Illustrated. Jimmy had that nice interview with John Cena where he really highlighted what Brock did at the Rumble. I got to write about this, but I wonder if they're going to maybe swerve us somehow, some kind of double turn or something. Because Drew's first title run, in my opinion, should be as a heel. It would just get him to a different point. And there's so many baby faces for him to work with, too. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this plays out and how they build Drew and what they do with that match. But we haven't had a classic double turn at Mania in a while. This seems like it's the right time for it.
That's an interesting theory right there, Justin. And, as they say in pro wrestling, never say never, right? That's the expression that goes in anything, especially when we try to put logic behind pro wrestling, which seems to fail every time and again with me and Jeff when we try to talk about it. But, talking about Drew, though, and that main event, it was surprising, but yet utterly refreshing to see that they actually gave that opportunity to Drew, to see how the crowd reacted to him. I think, I kind of agree in terms of what you were saying before. It's not necessarily a situation where they're force-feeding it, but now I'm starting to see Drew acting a little bit differently these last couple of weeks than he normally does. He calls himself the sexy Scotsman, and to me, that's just not Drew.
I love that accent. That's pretty good.
Thank you. I've practiced it, the last 5 minutes, and I've successfully done it, but it doesn't seem like that's Drew. And I'm starting to get a little concerned and worried that because there's so much wanting him to be a fan favorite and have Brock be that classic heel, now do we run the situation where we could lose a guy like Drew McIntyre because now the fans will get a whiff of, the machine's behind him now, and which is the classic move. We're going against what's going on with the machine.
And that's a great point, too. You look at Steve Austin, and Stone Cold was a great heel, and he was a great babyface, but they really didn't change him too much. He was still Stone Cold. He still gave the double birds. He still kind of stayed true to himself. I think Drew should be the Scottish psychopath as a babyface. I mean, you just maybe you have some subtleties and nuances that are babyface like instead of villain like, or instead of heel like. But yeah, I wouldn't change him too much. Maybe I'm overthinking the double turn. I think it would make sense, especially if they kind of teased that him going in a different direction character-wise. But I agree. If the crowd gets behind you, why would you ever want to change that? And I think that's probably a Vince thing. But I don't know. Again, we have so much time between now and Mania.
Jeff, get Vince on the phone right now. Jeff. Get Vince on the phone so we can patch him in a four-way here.
It seems like Drew. I mean, Drew's been his project since he was 21. So I would, from everything I've heard, Vince is very involved in Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, but there's a big difference when he was called the Chosen One to where he is now, when he actually left and was released by WWE.
It's a great story.
And he's become his own man.
Yeah.
And if he was ever ready for this type of situation, it'd be now. It's basically for me and Jeff, and I can't speak for Jeff though, but it's now or never for Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, and so much happened in between. Like he loses his mother, he gets divorced. Life hit him. Nothing hits you harder than life, and that's what happened in there. That's a great point too. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I don't know if I don't, but if he doesn't, they don't capitalize here. And an interesting parallel is Braun Strowman, and I think Braun's fantastic. There's nobody in wrestling like Braun, but man, they've missed at least 3 opportunities where he should have had the belt. They stuck with Brock. And Braun's still popular, obviously. Like at the Rumble, for instance, there was no shot of him winning. You didn't think he came in there. You knew he was going to get done. There's something to be said about missing a guy's timing. Like, if timing's off, if you don't get the timing right, you might not ever get it right. So I really haven't thought of it through that way with Mania. Brock, I think, is a great Braun is a prime example of that. They've missed the timing numerous times. They had him red hot and then just cooled him off. But I'll be curious with McIntyre. I don't know. I think the good thing is for him, maybe he can go back to being a heel. But I agree, this is a great opportunity. You're going against Brock at WrestleMania. I would think that if Brock wins that match, in kind of a letdown like it was in New Orleans with Lesnar and Reigns, the crowd will spit that out and dislike it. So for sure, it's a huge opportunity for McIntyre, and you don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, and obviously it's a good story too, like getting fired, then coming back, kind of a redemption story. And then obviously you have an international crowd there for WrestleMania. And I think for him to be the first European-born world champion, I think that's a great point that they got to hit. They just got to keep him, they just got to keep him relevant for the next few weeks here and make sure that the momentum doesn't get lost. But another person that I think too that I'm kind of curious about, and there's nothing against Ricochet because I'm looking forward to Ricochet and Brock Lesnar. Brock has good matches against, smaller guys. But do you think Vince is wasting that opportunity of getting a Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar match? Because I would have bet money that that's the kind of match that Saudi Arabia wanted to see.
Good point. I don't know. As soon as that match was announced last night, I thought it's got to be Ricochet because of the low blow and the Raw spot before the Rumble, and I was really happy that the storyline made sense. I think Lashley makes sense too, but I guess I'm happy that that's not the case because, these Saudi Arabia cards are hard to get behind. I'd hate to have that match happen there. And to me at least, when that match happens, I'd like more than 3 weeks of a build-up. Maybe that's asking too much in 2020 in the current landscape of pro wrestling and WWE. But I'm really happy it's not Bobby. I'd love for that match to happen. Love to watch that match. I think you're right. That'd be a great opportunity. It's two behemoths, right? Two giants. But I'm sure Ricochet is going to sell for Brock, and Brock's going to sell for him in some fun ways too. I guess my point being, I don't mind that that's not the case because I'd rather they gave to me that's an attraction match at SummerSlam, and you build up for a month and a half, and you plant seeds and you really go after it. And Lashley, as much as I like Lashley, he's just been so intertwined with this Rusev thing where it looks like they don't know what to do next. I don't know if this is the right time to go.
Is that storyline still going on?
Yeah, right. No, they just kind of like stalled a little bit.
Next week.
Yeah,
it might not.
Yeah, it's kind of stalled.
But I like
a little
the fact. I'd love that to be a big match at SummerSlam, and that to be that to me is no belt attached. It's an attraction match, and these are the matches that Brock should lose. Right, he should lose to Drew at Mania, whether it's a double turn or not. That's a perfect chance to put somebody over. Bobby Lashley is a guy who wrestles every week. That's a guy that should beat Brock. I think that's a good use of Brock Lesnar. But I'm not disappointed about Saudi Arabia that it's not Bobby Brock. I hope it happens, but I'm glad it's not happening now.
Yeah, you're right about that. I've mentioned this to Jeff. I hope it happens once because it's something that people have mentioned they've wanted to see for the longest time, and it seems like the two have always missed each other for some reason. But again, I'm not disappointed that it's Ricochet because at the end of the day, if it's all building towards WrestleMania, you want Brock Lesnar to look as strong as possible. Ricochet is going to make him look amazing and vice versa. So it's going to be an entertaining match regardless of what happens. He's had great matches with guys like AJ Styles, great matches with Finn Balor. There's no doubt he's going to have a tremendous match with Ricochet and really sell for him too and make him look good because that's what Brock does, and people seem to fail the genius of what Brock Lesnar can do for somebody and putting him over like what he did at the Rumble with Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. But now going to Saudi Arabia, there's another thing that I want to talk about too, is that we're talking about,
I am not going to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you have your first class ticket booked there?
Kidding.
Back your first class ticket and coach?
I'm going to leave that one off the other vacation list.
But what I want to ask you, Justin, is there still, and maybe it's me being one of those trying to be a smart mark or something like that, but is there still appeal for Goldberg in your mind? Is that still an attraction more now in Saudi Arabia than it is in the States? Because it seems like now, every Saudi Arabia match, you can kind of now think Goldberg's going to be part of it. Is it too much nostalgia now they're depending on Goldberg?
I don't think so. I go back to, I think it was the second show in Saudi when Hulk came out, or Hulk hosted. He opened the show, and I thought it was so cool to see adults in Saudi Arabia and kids, and they were cupping the hand on the ear like Hogan does. And if you've never seen Hulk live, or if you've maybe once or twice in your life, that's as a wrestler. If you're a wrestling fan, or most people are aware of Hulkamania or Hulk Hogan, whether they're wrestling fans or not. I think the same goes for wrestling fans in Saudi, maybe with Goldberg, or you've heard the legend, or you're familiar with his past. I think it's I think they should work in nostalgia. I mean, just like they had Joe Montana at the Super Bowl, right? Like, I think you should always work in your legends. It's a big part of, like, WWE for so long has owned the space, owned the wrestling world.
Yeah, but Justin, there's a big difference though between a Hulk Hogan going out there waving his hands, showing the 24-inch
100%.
pythons, walking to the ring, but he's not in his gear. He's not going to wrestle a match. Joe Montana is going to Super Bowl weekend, but he's not putting his shoulder pads and gear on, getting ready to get into the game. You know what I mean? It's kind of different
That's the beauty of pro wrestling, though. I think that in sports entertainment, like, I don't know if Hulk can ever wrestle again. He keeps talking about it, but his back. But I think with Goldberg, they're going to keep doing it. He's under contract. They're going to keep doing it until the crowd doesn't eat it up anymore. That match was a disaster in Saudi, right? That Taker-Goldberg match. I hope WWE, I think they did, just on the way they booked themselves out of it. Those two legends shouldn't be going at it. They should be in a tag. Like Drew McIntyre doesn't get enough credit for kind of saving Taker. But that tag match changed everything. It was Taker and Roman versus Shane and Drew. Drew bumped and sold and made Undertaker special again. Same thing with Dolph Ziggler with Goldberg. So it's really interesting. Baron Corbin, I guess, would make sense. Friday, have him come out, have him get destroyed. I don't know. If you use it in the right spot, I don't mind it. I don't want to see Goldberg with the belt. But I think in the right spot for those of us that grew up watching these guys in small doses, I think it's pretty cool. But, again, you get it. It's a fine line.
Talking to Justin Barrasso, great journalist for SI.com, man, doing great things. Very well known. Actually, one of the best wrestling writers out there. Catch him on Twitter at Justin Barrasso. Justin, we wanted to get you earlier on, like in the new year, but you're a busy guy. Things happen, schedule conflicts, and we're in February already. Can you believe it? We're in February. And my question to you is, I wanted to get you like your predictions for AEW and maybe NWA in the next year. What's one thing that you're interested in looking at and how they advance this coming year as far as maybe production, as far as like matches, signing talent? What's one thing you're looking forward to for both companies seeing?
I'll start with AEW just because it's so much bigger than the NWA. But I think that the point will make sense for both promotions. I think AEW, it's got a great future. I mean, honestly, there's been moments where it's like you're scratching your head, what was that? But overall, I mean, they have. I just can't find a way to support someone's argument. They haven't added creativity and enthusiasm and passion to the wrestling business. I'm thrilled AEW exists, and I think that we're going to see talent eventually. WWE pays, right? Yeah. But people will want the opportunity to star at AEW. They have a legit television brand behind them. They have a network behind them. I think there's nothing but opportunity for AEW, even if people don't like the booking week to week. Let's see where they are in a year. Let's see where they are in 6 months. I'm really excited to see. I mean, it's kind of go time now, too, for the Revolution pay-per-view. Like, the opportunity that we could see the Young Bucks against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Hangman, I think, is doing the best work of his career. Kenny's Kenny. The Bucks are some people criticize. I think they're one of the best tag teams in the business. I think they set a new standard for tag team wrestling. That Golden Lovers Young Bucks match, the Access TV special, like that's, and not to say that Hangman's Bushi, he's very different, but like that could be a really special match. What happens with Moxley and Jericho? I'm not so certain that Moxley wins that match. Maybe that's for Lance Archer. If he does, I know we reported he was talking with AEW. Like maybe he cost Moxley that match. Maybe Jericho. I think he's got more legs as that champion, Jericho. I don't necessarily know the end of February is the end of Chris Jericho as AEW champion. There's so much potential for that promotion, and I think too it's nice to have an alternative. And they're probably less of an alternative to WWE than they are an answer. Like they're not so much radically different, but they're an answer to a lot of WWE's, to our frustrations with the product. I think it's been great. I think it's made WWE better, and you see it with the Edge story, right? Like Edge, there's no doubt he was talking to Tony Khan. He's back in WWE. It makes everyone better. So I think that's exciting. There'll definitely be a talent who leave WWE, not because they aren't good enough, because in pro wrestling, it's like Goldberg isn't winning these matches. He's booked to win these matches. Someone will leave and show that the WWE made mistakes. That's like the Steve Austin story with Eric Bischoff and the fax machine when he got fired. With the NWA, same thing, right? It's another option. It's another option to Again, not nearly as big as AEW, but Billy Corgan's creative, and it adds something different to the space every week. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are after Nick Aldis. Marty might win that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Marty Scurll win that belt because he's been dropping finishes in Ring of Honor, which I like. He's a part of the creative team now. But then he goes and wins the NWA belt would be pretty cool. I don't see. Speaking of timing, you mentioned this with McIntyre. I don't know how you don't have Marty win that match at the Crockett Cup, and that's later in April. So that'll be exciting to see it. New champion if that happens. Yeah, I mean, it just like we touched on earlier in the call. If you don't like something in pro wrestling, the great thing now is watch something else. If you don't like AEW, I love watching NXT. Like I don't go back and forth anymore though. I watch usually AEW first, DVR, NXT, and then watch them after. But like it's so much fun to watch this much good wrestling.
No, it's true, and you just brought up a good point about Marty Scurll and the fact that he's going to be going for the 10 pounds of gold at the Crockett Cup, and that's where you'd hope to think now after him going after significant titles and promotions, become the champion of that promotion. This will be his opportunity. But not too long ago, there was a big thing where he's the biggest free agent out there. People were wondering, all right, now that his contract's up at Ring of Honor, will he now go venture over to AEW and join the Elite? Will that be the big thing with the Elite versus the Inner Circle, which I thought was money that and still could be possibly money down the road, depending on what happens? Resigns with Ring of Honor. Well, first of all, shows up on NWA, then signs a contract with Ring of Honor. So something like this, can you see if Marty does win? Hopefully he does, because you'd like to think at this point it's the perfect timing for him to win. Do you think right now there'll be that connection where it seems like NWA and Ring of Honor will be working collectively together, much like it seems like there's their plans, don't know if it's confirmed or anything like that, but when Jericho had his press conference at Wrestle Kingdom saying that he would like AEW and New Japan work together, do you see these promotions now working together, collabing together in terms of working against each other?
With the Ring of Honor and the NWA, absolutely. I think they both have a lot to benefit from that relationship. And I think the Dawsons, for instance, in the tag division, I think they were trying to replace the Briscoes. And good luck, right? Because the Briscoes are really good and really, there's a reason they've been, in Ring of Honor since 2002. It's hard to kind of find talent like that. I think that it's mutually beneficial for the NWA and Ring of Honor to work together. I don't see, at least in the first half of 2020, especially with Ring of Honor still involved, I don't see New Japan and AEW collaborating just yet. Maybe in the second part of the year we'll see something different that'll make us think differently. But as soon as I read that interview or saw the translation of that interview where Tanahashi said that, if he won that match, he could open up the forbidden door. And to me, that just guaranteed Jericho was going to win the match because they're not going to work together yet. I don't think it's in either necessarily one of their best interests right now to work together. I think us as a fan base, who wouldn't want to watch those matches? We'd love it. But I think AEW's got a lot to do to prove themselves as a standalone entity. I don't think you necessarily want to be attached to anyone else. I think you want to prove that you are a special, outstanding, elite place in pro wrestling. Maybe down the line they can work with New Japan. And I think for New Japan, I think they have their own. They're very ambitious with the New Japan USA plans, with their promotion in general. I think right now they're moving in two different directions. Not to say it won't happen, but I think for the fan base, why wouldn't we want to see some of those matches? I'd love to see Ishii and Omega again. Those matches were just perfect. They worked so well together. But I don't think that we'll see that. Maybe we'll revisit that in the summer, but I just don't see right now with the current regime in both promotions, AEW and New Japan working together anytime soon.
Obviously, it didn't end well between the Elite and New Japan because there was always that window opening for the Bucks or Kenny to wrestle for New Japan that's specified in their contract. So, we'll see that. But, I wish someone writes about this because I've always wondered, after Supercard last year, after the whole selling out the Garden and all that, and the talk of Ring of Honor, being the only other promotion besides WWE to be there with New Japan, and then just all that talk, and all of a sudden it kind of flatlined. It was like, New Japan kind of kind of hid in the shadows, and then they ended their partnership with then Ring of Honor ended their partnership with NWA, and now when we get the Supercard this year, it seems like New Japan is kind of back to like some kind of relationship with Ring of Honor. I just wonder what happened there. Were they like not satisfied with the night? Were there just something where New Japan could have gone elsewhere? New Japan definitely needs an American business partner, especially if they want to get into the States since losing access to Impact Wrestling. So, I mean, it would be beneficial for New Japan and Ring of Honor to kind of, get back to working together again, and we'll see that in April for Supercard.
Yeah, you make good points. I don't know. How much does it help? I think it gives them a foothold in the States, but I don't know. I don't know how much that relationship benefits. I think it adds New Japan in America just because of the television, right? Like the Ring of Honor, good luck finding them on a weekly basis, on a consistent basis. It's really hard. I feel like it continually changes. So I think they definitely need a more sustained, consistent television. Even if it's tough because the reason they were so good on Access was because it was so dated at first, and then they started getting newer and newer and more current stuff. And even if it's a week or two old, I think people would be understanding. But it would be nice to have New Japan back on television. I liked it on Access. I don't know where it goes from here. I know the story we reported last spring was Okada was unhappy with his payday from Ring of Honor at that Garden show. I don't know. And I think too, it's interesting because Matt Taven got a lot of heat for diminished crowds at Ring of Honor shows after he won the belt. Probably did Marty Scurll a huge favor by being champion there. I think those crowds would have been the same with Marty as champ, with Matt as champ, with Jay Lethal as champ. I don't think it would have mattered who was champion then. They were going to draw less than they drew with Cody and the Bucks, and that's what happened. And Kenny Omega worked some of their shows. They were 100% going to take a dip in attendance rates. But I don't know. I think that it helps Ring of Honor to a point, but they need to, New Japan to a point, but they definitely need more of a television presence in the States. That's first and foremost. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do next.
I want to get your thoughts, Justin, on, we're talking about maybe going back a little bit now. We're talking about, Saudi Arabia, Super Showdown. We're talking about Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. I want to get your take on the rumors that you've heard and confirm anything that might have happened between Matt Riddle, Goldberg. We know what happened between Matt Riddle and Goldberg, the situations, their beef on Twitter, and now what happened to Brock Lesnar. What have you heard in terms of, is this leaning more towards a storyline? Is this more just an altercation because, Brock didn't like what Matt Riddle had to say? Because Matt Riddle has been very outspoken on his feelings, never held anything back, and he's not made a lot of friends backstage. So what was your take when you heard the story, and what have you heard from your sources?
I think that if you're looking at Brock's past, typically Brock has so much respect. He holds his opponents in high regard when they get that traditional athletic background, and that's Matt Riddle, who had a very underrated career in the UFC. I think that everything I've heard leans to, maybe they're not going to break bread together this weekend or we'll go out for lunch together, but I think that they know Brock's very smart when there's money to be made, and there is money to be made with Matt Riddle, and for Matt Riddle there's certainly money to be made with Brock Lesnar. The fact it was a video that came out afterward, I think only reinforces that WWE only wants you to see what they want you to see. So if there was nothing to see, we wouldn't see it. The fact that they're building to that story makes me trust all my sources who said it's more work it's more storyline than anything else. And again, they might not be best friends, but I think Brock comes from an era in wrestling where you weren't always best friends.
All right, Justin. Well, listen, want to thank you so much for your time. Appreciate everything, all the info that you gave us. And again, got to catch up soon, man. Hopefully we see you in Tampa for Mania.
I can't wait. I think it's always a pleasure. You guys are so passionate about the business and covering pro wrestling, and I think that enthusiasm and that knowledge is always apparent in what you guys do. So thank you very much, and I can look forward to the baseball conversation in April.
Oh, definitely. And again, yeah.
If we see you in Tampa, first round's on us, Justin.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Take it easy.
All right, Trendsetter. Our thanks goes out to Justin Barrasso of SI.com. Great interview, really in-depth. And again, hopefully we catch him in Tampa for WrestleMania.
I think we will.
Always a great guest on the show, man. And we got into so many things.
We'll see him will he be in one spot? The guy's always moving around doing stuff, so I don't know that.
News, man. And one of the very best, Justin Barrasso, on the High Spot podcast on bodyslam.net. Trendsetter, Super Showdown. We know what the main event. Well, we know that Brock Lesnar is going to defend his WWE Championship against Ricochet. Ricochet winning a triple threat match on Raw this past Monday night. We talked about it with Justin about Lashley. Ricochet, again, to me, is going to have a good match. I mean, Brock's shown it before against AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor. He can go. He kind of maybe enjoys these kind of matches because he kind of wants to prove the doubters that he can do more than just take people to Suplex City. But this is going to be
I honestly think Brock doesn't care about the doubters.
True.
Cares about the zeros in his paycheck.
That's all he cares
and he does
about.
his job well.
And he wants to do business.
Yeah.
So, well, for his own personal sake, he is going to have, I believe, a good match, and it's probably going to make Ricochet. And this is a good spot for Ricochet to have. It was a great point by Justin Barrasso to say that maybe for SummerSlam, once maybe Brock puts over Drew at WrestleMania, we can get no titles, just to battle the big guys here between Brock and Lashley. Were you surprised that Lashley didn't win here, or did you think Seth or Ricochet made more of a case heading into Super Showdown?
Honestly, no. I wasn't surprised that Bobby didn't win. I thought they were going to lean more towards Seth, and maybe for Brock to get that kind of revenge on Seth Rollins because he did beat him twice for his championships, and now it's like, okay, well, now it's my turn to take you to Suplex City, and you're going to stay there, bitch, type of scenario. But with Ricochet, it's a surprise. It's a refresh. It's a different look. We've already seen Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley and Brock would be interesting too, but like Justin said, and you were talking about before, maybe you do it here, or you save it now for a SummerSlam when there's no title on the line, and neither one has anything to really put on the line except their own pride. If the challenge of facing one another, which people have talked about it. They've just missed each other several times, and people want to see these two probably go at it, and it would be a nice showcase, a nice attraction to see that because they're extremely athletic for guys their size. But for Ricochet, I think this is a great test for him, not just because he's going in the ring with Brock Lesnar, but this is a test for him in terms of can he show his ability to have a great match, which I think he will with Brock. But can he handle that pressure? Can he be in that limelight, and can people buy into it? And if the answer is yes, then I feel even in a loss, or even if it's a dominating loss and he still looks good doing it, it's going to show a lot to the higher-ups in WWE, like, oh, look at Ricochet, man. He can sell a building, or he can convince people to want to buy into him. And that's going to just work for him further on in his career with WWE, whether that be an Intercontinental title run, whether that be in the tag team division, whether that be a U.S. title run, or who knows, maybe he could put himself in the scenario where he could be considered or be believable enough to go after a Universal title or a WWE Championship down the road. So this is big for Ricochet. I'm sure he's feeling it. He knows it. Brock doesn't have to prove anything, but I'm sure Brock will do his best to, do business. And do business is have a good match, earn his paycheck, and go home. And I think with that, he'll get the brush off, and Ricochet will be better for it, hopefully.
I am all for a Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte match. I think it's out of the box. It
would be something different.
I think that, listen, and NXT was in full momentum when they had that NXT invasion into SmackDown and Raw. I think what the fans want to see is, yes, they love the Keith Lees, the Adam Coles, baby. And I think
not that much enthusiasm for the Adam Cole babies before. Man, 6 months down the road, you would have been like, baby, the whole time, and now you're like, yeah, baby.
Yeah, we're cool. But I think they missed Velveteen Dream. Hopefully he comes back soon. I don't know if
he would have been a great addition to the invasion.
Yeah,
he would have.
Yeah. So my question is to you though. Obviously,
I love how you're posing these questions to me.
No, you know what? No, here's my opinion.
Yeah, give me your take on it.
Here's my opinion. Actually, a statement because we'll see what you want to take from this. But
okay,
I think that they were at its peak when you had the invasion. Then NXT won the Survivor Series, and you kind of wanted to see more. And you kind of knew to yourself that if AEW is beating NXT by a lot in the ratings, then to me there should be some influx of WWE talent going into NXT because they say it's a third brand, right? It's not developmental, that they want you to believe that it is the third option for WWE.
It depends who tells you that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, this Charlotte going to NXT, I think it should be a start of more. because you've seen Finn Balor go back to NXT. He's done a good job. But again, though, to me, they've kind of teased me because when Finn Balor started coming out, we kind of getting the Prince, and we thought he was going to do more. And right now, it's going to be Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa, NXT Portland. That's going to be great. But it just seems that Finn Balor's, he's winning matches, but he's not, he's just not doing something significant. Now, Gargano and Finn Balor, that's going to be tremendous.
Let's see what happens there.
Yeah.
I think that was a storyline that started. They want to finish it off.
So getting back, because I always, go off the end here, I think there needs to be more of an influx of WWE talent going into NXT because it's not working as far as beating them in the ratings. And I think that the momentum was lost in the new year when they did an NXT award show instead of giving us a live show because they had built momentum. They had beaten AEW in the ratings, and right now it's a stark difference now when you see the ratings come out now. AEW is winning by a lot over NXT.
Yeah, well,
that's my statement.
Okay, well, I think you're trying to refer to the whole scenario between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. To go back to what you're saying, though, Jeff, we've talked about, we've tried to make it something. I'm sure the internet's made it something too, the Wednesday Night Wars. But, Jeff, let's be honest, man. Let's be honest here and call it like it is. There is no war, man.
No,
we can pretend there is. But,
you're right.
The days that we used to watch it, when you really guys, and this is how archaic it is, I'm sure, we had VCRs and we would record it on a VHS tape, and we would be going back and forth, flipping back through channels. And back then it mattered a lot because during that time in the 90s, you couldn't go back and rewatch Monday Nitro. It happened at that time. You couldn't go back on the internet. You didn't have YouTube back then or anything like that. We had dial-up AOL. You didn't have the ability of watching again, so you had to see it. Oh, man, somebody's calling me. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, every time you got a call, you would get kicked offline. But you don't have the ability anymore. Now it's different, Jeff. You can DVR or record or TiVo, whatever you want to call it, NXT, and you can watch AEW live or record AEW and watch NXT. So I think the ratings don't dictate a lot because there aren't a lot of people anymore, in my opinion, or a good majority of them, and I don't know the percentage of this, that watch things live anymore. They'll have things, oh, did I miss it? Okay, I'll catch my favorite show in. I have a recorder. I've taped it. I'll watch it back on replay or on demand. I think we're in the day and age of that where you don't watch things live anymore, even sporting shows. I'm sure if I didn't watch the Super Bowl, Jeff, I could have watched it immediately on YouTube. They showed highlights of it. I could have seen the game there. It would have saved me an hour or 3 hours watching the whole damn thing. I have the ability of doing that nowadays. So to answer your question in terms of the ratings, I don't think that big of a deal. And the influx of WWE talent into NXT is a cool idea, but I really would like NXT and NXT UK to trade off talent and to kind of be their own type of brand in the sense. But when you go to Charlotte, going to answer Rhea Ripley's challenge, to me, that's the more intriguing match to see, because to see Rhea Ripley, how she's progressed herself when she started, and she was in the Mae Young Classic, to where she is now, night and day, and how talented she is, right? And again, to even think of a Toni Storm Charlotte match down the road, that excites me. Yeah. But again, I'm a die-hardcore. I'm a guy who knows these people. They're not known by the general audience, but still, that's more intriguing because you know what? I've seen Becky and Charlotte to nauseum. I've seen it to nauseum.
I mean, we're gonna get Asuka and Becky for the millionth time on Raw next week.
The whole Bayley thing and Charlotte doesn't interest me. This interests me, and this is showcasing more than not. I can say with all due respect, and people take it disrespectfully, but I could care less about the Raw Women's title. I can care less about the SmackDown Women's title. The NXT, and I can't say Women's Championship anymore. I have to say the NXT Championship is now more intriguing. That's the belt to have because that means you're the new up-and-comer. But more importantly, that's, in my opinion, that's women's wrestling. That women's division is what a division should be like.
How about that? A belt for the new up-and-comer, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What a mind-blowing idea, right?
Yeah, and then you wonder, what more can Charlotte do? She can be a 17 or a 20-time women's champion on SmackDown Raw. For her to be NXT champion again would bring it full circle in the sense that she was a good NXT women's champion. That's kind of a title that, I wouldn't say eluded her, but she didn't reach her full potential with that. So what would it mean if she wins that title, brings it on Raw or SmackDown, and showcases that title, that only does, in my opinion, benefit NXT now because you draw more eyes to it. And then you showcase Rhea Ripley, who is basically representing your entire women's division in NXT. I think it's an amazing, intriguing match because they're two talented women at the same time. To me, that's the most important title right now.
And to me, the more exciting division is the NXT the women's division, or the NXT. I don't know what to call it now. Should I call it a women's division?
I think you can call it a women's division, but you can't call it the women's championship anymore.
All right, so
that's my perspective.
So the women's division to me is the more exciting on the NXT brand than on both SmackDown or Raw, just because they've oversaturated with the matches, and I get it. I'm glad. Liv Morgan is getting an opportunity. Yeah. So that's good. They're trying to build up new stars, but I think the more exciting division is the NXT Women's division.
And I can't really think of 3 matches that should be amazing. And Rhea Ripley, then you have Toni Storm, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
Those would be awesome matches to watch.
We want
something new
because
fresh.
We've seen the other matches.
You keep recycling the same thing. Nobody wants to see it anymore.
So I went and
just like you're recycling the same hairdo and eventually going to shave it off.
I told you after Mania, I want to see what it's like, and then the man bun will go. Because
you're gonna be like Edge, where Edge shaved his head during Wrestling Weekend,
grit.
Where he's like, I don't know what to do with it anymore, so just quick, cut it off, type of thing.
Yeah, but and the Edge storyline, man, Randy Orton. Everyone loves Randy Orton. They say that he's one of the greatest of all time. This is a great feud that's stirring up between Edge and Randy Orton. We didn't hear from Edge, but Randy Orton kind of left, walked out on the crowd, didn't really explain much. Last week we had the concerto via Randy Orton on Edge. I like where this is going, man. I'm excited about WrestleMania. Hopefully, again, this with Edge on the shelf right now with this injury, they have a couple of weeks here where they can really build that heat up on Randy Orton. And when Edge comes back finally to get his vengeance, it's going to make us even anticipate more for this match at WrestleMania. I'm really looking forward to this match.
I'm looking forward to seeing Edge back in the ring and now in singles competition. I think it's one thing joining a Rumble and dealing with a Battle Royal type scenario. Different psychology, different dynamic. Now the question is, can Edge still go one-on-one? And with a partner like Randy, say what you want to say about Randy, Jeff, right? He's boring and sometimes it feels like he what's the word I'm looking for? He's already sold, like he's sold out, like not in the sense that he's already checked out basically. So I think he'll have a great match with Edge. I think he'll protect him. He will make him look good. But I like the slow build here in terms of the storyline. And I can't say that very much about a lot of Randy Orton matches or storylines that have been built up, but I think this one's got a great build. Both are tremendously intelligent in terms of psychology, in terms of how they want to build a story, especially Edge. So I like the build to this. We're not going to hear from Edge, I think, for a couple of weeks because he's going to sell the neck injury. And when he does come back, it's going to be a vengeance and it's going to be an exciting moment because with Edge, he said it before he got brutally attacked by Randy Orton. He signed a 3-year contract, right?
No.
Not an extension, a 3-year contract. So we should significantly see him for 3 years.
No.
We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know how long the neck will support it. That type of scheduling. Now, he's not going to be on the road all the time like, the full-timers. But, you don't know. So the less you see of Edge till he builds up to a match, the better it is because, one, he stays healthy, he stays fresh, and it's more intriguing the moments you do see him. So that'll be interesting to see. That's something I'm looking forward to. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to that match, but I'm looking forward to see how the storyline builds itself up towards that match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as AEW goes, we're heading into Revolution at the end of the month, and I'm digging these pay-per-views just 4 times a year. It really builds up the storylines. It might oversaturate matches because you might see them a lot more on regular TV than on pay-per-view, but I like where everything's going as far as Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. I really agree with Justin Barrasso that Hangman Page really looks like he's having fun out there. I love the gimmick. It's hilarious. And, there's a guy that's so underrated right now that to me I would say he's a top 10 player in this game, but a lot of people might not even have him in his top 10. So, that's great. AEW continues to put out good shows. Interested in where Cody and MJF head off to, and this probably is leading to a match at Revolution. And then, of course,
probably, yeah, most likely.
and then Le Champion against John Moxley. That's going to be a good match. will Chris Jericho lose that title to Moxley in Chicago at the end of the month? That's going to be
I don't think
interesting
so.
to see. Yeah, you know what? I think there's so much more to do.
And this is because I'm a huge Chris Jericho fan. I just think right now, the longer Jericho has that title isn't necessarily because, I want Jericho as champion, but it just continually builds up the legacy of that championship, because the one person that does defeat Chris Jericho becomes champion will now have defeated, probably overcome the most insurmountable obstacle, which is Le Champion, Chris Jericho.
Le Champion.
And it just means more when the next person gets it. So I think a lot of people sometimes worry so much, and I'm a victim of this too, when's the next turn going to happen, or how long is this person going to be champion for before he drops off to somebody else, or she drops off to somebody else. I think now you should kind of enjoy it. Enjoy it for as long as it lasts. But again, to me, it has to make sense for them to drop it. Now, this is like, for example, Cody doing it, you get it. Moxley, I think there still needs to be more built up if they want to continue this storyline. But Jericho said it himself, too, where he looked at the roster before AEW started on TNT. He's like, he's got storylines for a year.
Yeah.
So it could be...
He's
proven that he could be champion for a year right now
Yeah.
to start building up this roster and making it more believable. And for him as the staple, as the champion, is a great idea. You'd be a fool to take it off him right now, because right now people are relating AEW to Chris Jericho, and that's one thing you don't want to do. Moxley can always have another chance, and then there are other people in the forefront for it. You know, we're still waiting for another Kenny Omega match down the road. That could be a possibility down there too. That'd be amazing, exciting too. But Kenny right now is involved in the storyline where he's the tag team champion. So a lot of things that can happen here. I don't think he's going to drop the title. And for AEW, like I said, there's there are more pros than cons. Now I'm not talking about Tony Khan here, but there are a lot of good things going on with AEW here. The one thing that is drawing my concern though is two things. The roster is not as deep as I thought it was. So you're seeing a lot of recycled things. But again...
Which is the problem that you have when you have pay-per-views
exactly
4 times a year than every month.
Yeah, but I like the fact that not having pay-per-views that extensively, because it brings it back to old school when we used to watch WWE or WWF at that time. Yeah, what were your main pay-per-views, Jeff? It was SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, WrestleMania. 4. That's it. You didn't have a year in your houses. You didn't have Armageddons. You didn't have Extreme Rules, all this bullcrap. It was 4, and those are the 4 ones you want to see, because you know storylines were building up to that. And then the other thing that concerns me, too, a little bit is that women's division, man. That women's division, they've tried and tried and tried, and nothing is clicking and nothing is working right now. So, to me, Britt Baker tried to do another promo a couple weeks ago. I thought
People
that failed
love it,
miserably.
and I don't understand why, and I made it perfectly clear that I am not a Britt Baker fan. By no means. I do not think that her promos are well.
The next time you have a toothache, Jeff, make sure you just,
And if I was
check which one you're doing
AEW,
it
I would
with.
definitely be having buyer's remorse, because, I don't know what happened. The wrestling's been decent at best, and the promos have just absolutely sucked. And that's where I stand with that. So, the women's division is something that they'll probably need to improve on later on this year. But
that's Kenny Omega's baby, man.
Yeah.
He better take care of it right now, because it's
banking on Rio might not be the smart decision.
not only. I mean, a lot of people thought Britt Baker should have won the title first and foremost, and we realized right now Britt Baker might not necessarily be ready for that either. So I don't know right now. I don't think you have a current person on the roster that could be that star. So I guess time will tell on that one. But if you're Kenny Omega, you better get on that, because that baby's crying in the middle of the night. It's keeping you up. It's rejecting that milk, and it's pooping all over the place.
Oh, I love it.
So you gotta make sure
it.
you handle that and get that under control. And maybe it's a first time parent type of thing. So you get through the initial bumps, and then it's smooth sailing until you get to the terrible 3s. But from what I've been told. So they gotta tighten that up right now. But I think the main focus is that gets overlooked by what the current practice with Cody and MJF, Jericho and Moxley, the Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman. So I think that subsides it a little bit too. And also, let's also say the fact that the tag team division has been kind of not that much of a huge part of the show, but I think right now when you look at the rumors that the Revival have rejected that multi-year offer from WWE, who knows?
No, they're going to be
happen there. But you never know.
But are they ratings grabbers though?
I'm not looking for rating grabbers right now. I'm just looking for substantial teams, because we're talking about depth. You need depth. If you keep seeing the same teams over and over again, it gets stupid. You need newer teams in there that can work with others to make it more intriguing. So, yeah, I'm not talking about ratings grabbers. But, if, for example, if you tell me the Briscoes, to me they're ratings grabbers right now. But maybe for a general audience who doesn't cover Ring of Honor because they're more of like a regional promotion to an extent, I don't think they are. But for most people, I think, they're an East Coast type of thing, although they do travel. If, say, the Briscoes came over. Wow, the Briscoes. Whoa, and AEW, that increases more where it's Santana and Ortiz can work with them. The Young Bucks can work with them. SCU can work with them, and vice versa. You need new players. Because right now the pieces are getting kind of stale.
Yeah. So, on
just
that
you
note,
and I.
I know. After 182 episodes, it may have gotten
it's felt longer than that. It really
know.
has.
We've taken some time off.
Can you imagine if we didn't take that time off? We'd probably be in the 300s right now.
Probably. That means I got to think of a 200 episode extravaganza coming up.
Which we'll probably do because we'll probably be preoccupied doing
something else. Which I'll probably
else.
promise, and then we don't end up doing. We just do a regular show because the guests bail on us. But I'll try my best with my booking.
You've done a good job with your booking.
Brother. I mean, come on, man. We've had a tremendous lineup in January. You cannot knock it. We had Marty Elias, Chris Van Vliet, and Justin Barrasso coming on the show. 3 guests that you're going to get each week if you follow us on our Instagram and our Twitter. So, Trendsetter, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. They are les champions of the NFL.
I wonder if they get an AEW title.
I don't know.
I think if AEW sends them a title.
You'd think. you see Cody and Brandy got better seats than Stephanie McMahon and Triple H.
Ooh.
Even they were in the luxury box, but actually Cody and Brandy were sitting in field level. So, I don't know. Would you rather be in a suite or a field level? I mean, to me, the difference is you can get up and get food. And
honestly,
it's right
Jeff, I've worked in sports for so long. I'm so jaded by it. I could care less about the game. I just wanted to be in Miami. I just wanted to be in a warmer climate in sunny Florida. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about the game. You can put me outside in the parking lot. I'd tailgate.
And the groundhog didn't see a shadow, so we're going to get early spring.
I know. I heard. To watch that not happen nowadays.
Yeah, I know.
Did you see that Super Bowl commercial, Bill Murray, though? They redid the whole Groundhog Day. Really good job.
Listen.
No commercial stood out, though, right?
No. The halftime show did. It really stood out. So, good for J-Lo.
Did you like
it? I mean, you got booty.
Do you like Shakira going blah, 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 blah? That's like a big meme now.
Yeah. I mean, she did that, but, I mean, that was just all about the booty. So.
Well, that's about the booty. Like, look at these women. Like, what are they drinking, man? Can they age a day, maybe?
Oh, no. I mean.
Jesus Christ.
Jill's like over 50.
She doesn't look like it.
And Shakira's 40-something.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the water in Miami?
I don't know, man.
We need to drink that. We need to go down there. In Tampa.
We do need to go to Miami, Jeff, but we need to go to Miami when we're not working, which will be like never. But we have to do it. We'll be going to Tampa for WrestleMania, but we're going to be busy working anyway, so we're not going to really enjoy it as much.
Yep. So, anyways, congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs, les champions. And we're on the road to WrestleMania, buddy. One more week down. More to come, but
more to go.
But we're getting closer to Tampa, boys and girls. And, man, you can follow us on Twitter and all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Go to the website, highspotpodcast.com. Go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to receive a new interviews, our video interviews on High Spot Podcast. And, again, we're available on all podcast platforms. Thanks to Shining Wizards Network and also bodyslam.net, Trendsetter. And that's it. I'm done. I got nothing else left, man.
You got nothing else left? I got nothing else to give either. Guys, you've been listening to the High Spot Podcast. We are the Jersey Rec Crew for my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I'm the Trendsetter, Brian Berger. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. We'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, so stick around and stay tuned because we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.